Hi all, welcome you to another interesting episode of The Closing Edge. My name is Stalin, and in today's episode, we are not going to talk about sales. I felt something very important is supposed to be discussed in today's episode, that is difference between coaching and training. All right, so you invested your time, money, and energy into training your resources, training your people. So why do they still fail to execute? Why do they forget 90 percentage of what you teach them? Because you're training when you're required to coach, and you're coaching them when you're required to train them. This is the problem, right? And most leaders don't know the difference between training and coaching. Training builds knowledge, while the coaching builds your muscle memory. Now, you might ask me, what is muscle memory? Muscle memory is nothing but the instinct, right? So, one without the other, you're setting your people up to fail. So, today's episode is very important for all the leaders, coaches, trainers, and performance managers, for you to understand the difference between coaching and training, and when you'll have to coach and when you'll have to train. So let's quickly get into the crux of the pain point without any delay. All right, so the discussion what we are going to have today, I'm going to segment it into points as how we usually do it. So looking into the first segment, the key difference. All right, so let's understand how is training different from coaching. All right, and let's break it down into three different aspects of it. So the first aspect is the purpose, and the second aspect is example, and third aspect is outcome. Now let's see this. Training, skills and knowledge. Now, what is the purpose of doing it? Purpose is to transfer information, structured learning, and specifics, structured learning of a specific skill, we can say. All right. For an example, teaching sales reps how to pitch a product. So it's a process. All right. Now, what is the outcome of this? They know how to do it, but not necessarily when or why. Okay. Now, coaching is nothing but guiding for execution and mastery. Purpose: to refine instincts, problem solving, and adaptability. When you are in a presentation or when you are in a sales conversation, all right, you are taught a pitch during your training, how to pitch a customer. While you are doing that pitch, while you're expressing your pitch, while you're delivering your pitch, a customer comes out with a question, right? And you're all stuck there. Here, your training would not help you because training is just the process, but your coaching would definitely help you because you would have learned how to handle situations like this in your coaching, scenario based coaching, FAQ based coaching, right? So, as I said, it is muscle memory. You'll remember and then you'll go back and handle the rebuttal really well, right? So, that's how it is. So, as I said, the purpose is to refine instincts, problem solving, and adaptability. An example: helping a sales rep identify when to push for the close versus when to step back. So, not all the customers will close if you push them initially, all right? But not all the customers who deserve to be pushed in the very later stage of the closure discussion. When you know that's the moment, you'll have to pull the trigger. So that happens only with coaching, right? So outcome, they don't just know, they apply and adapt in real time. So that's the beauty of coaching. So training without coaching makes your people struggle in reality. So hand in hand, when you explain them about the process, when you train them about the process, it is also important to coach them on real-time scenarios and coach them on situations accordingly, right? Now, moving on to the next segment, that is segment 2, why training fails. Firstly, it's about the forgetting curve. 90% of training content is forgotten within a week unless it is reinforced. And secondly, it is about lack of emotional connection when the training is done. People don't retain what they don't care about at all. For an example, a boring PowerPoint versus a hand-on role play. When I'm talking about this PowerPoint and role play, I would quickly go back to my would like to go back to my school days and talk about my second standard English teacher. Her name was Ramani, Mrs. Ramani, right? We used to really enjoy our classes, right? Everybody would be excited for Ramani Miss class. Everybody in the class would be really delighted and excited for Ramani Miss's period. You know why? Because she does not teach her subjects. Instead, she'll make it like a play every day. So each lesson, she would pick characters and she would give them the brief about the characters, and we would have our textbooks in our hands and we were asked to do a play right in front of the class so that we would have a first-hand experience as artists. At the same time, we are retaining our knowledge by doing that play. At the same time, as spectators, the students who are sitting here are enjoying the play. At the same time, they are learning it. Alright? So this is what happens when an emotional connection is given. A hook is given. Alright? So that's how this works. So until and unless they are emotionally connected, they are not going to retain the information for a very long time. So it's not about what you're going to train them on or coach them on. It's about how you're going to do it. And how impactfully you're going to do it is what matters. Alright. And moving on with the next pointer in the segment 2, which is wrong timing and format. So training dumped at the wrong time is equal to inefficiency or ineffectiveness. So example, teaching negotiation tactics before a deal versus right before an actual negotiation. So when you would teach them negotiation tactics. So this is what matters. So when to teach and how to teach, and placing that right timing for your coaching and training is what matters the most. Alright. So the third point in this segment is called the no skin in the game, which is nothing but if an employee doesn't see a direct impact, alright, and it is not impacting them in any ways, they've been implementing it and there is no results out of it, they're going to zone out of this, right? An example, training someone in leadership but never give them responsibilities at all. They're not going to use it at all. So that's how it is. So these are the 3 points in the second segment which you'll have to remember when it comes to coaching and training. Now moving on to the third segment, when to train versus when to coach. This is the most important segment in the entire video, which is the whole purpose of doing this video. There's a specific kill gap. That's when you'll have to train. For an example, a new software is coming in the market, or a process, or a method, right? This requires training. You need consistent performance. For an example, on a certain product or a product knowledge or compliances training. So if you want someone to consistently do well in these things, at that point of time, your training is very important. And the goal is to transfer the knowledge in these kind of situation. And it's not about, retaining it hard. So once a knowledge transfer is done, teaching someone how to do something newly. So that's how the training thing works here. Coach when it is required. People know the skill, but they struggle to apply it. So I know how to bowl, but I don't know when to put an in swinger or when to put an off swinger. I know to spin the ball well, but I don't know when to put a leg break and when to put a leg spin or when to use a dosra. So this is what it is. So people know the skill but struggle to apply it. The problem is mindset, adaptability, and execution. So mindset is that, okay, I know I'll have to do this, but I don't know when to do this. So when you know when to do this, you'll have to have that mindset. Yeah, I'll definitely do this. Carry with that mindset. And adaptability is how well you adapt to the situation, how well you understand the situation and move forward. And execution is not just knowing about it or not just trying to understand the process, but you'll have to take that call. You'll have to take a call. You'll have to go ahead and execute it. At times, your success is just an action away. Knowing is not important, but taking an action is more important than knowing what it is, what is right or what is wrong, right? So yeah, I would also like to give a real world example for this. A salesperson can be trained to memorize scripts, right? But they must be coached to read customers' emotions and adjust accordingly. Because if you are a scripted individual sitting right next to a customer who has been in the business for a very long time, he can smell you within few seconds, all right? But if you are not robotic, if you're not robotic, and if you know how to handle a conversation, and if you know how to read the emotions and adjust accordingly, adjust your pitch accordingly and start delivering it accordingly, the sale is in your pocket. So that's with the segment 3. And moving on to the segment 4, making feedback stick. So how to make feedback retention 10 times stronger. So always tie feedbacks to a real-time situation or a real-world situation. Example, instead of saying you need to ask more questions, say, if you had asked one more question in that last meeting, we could have closed that deal. Alright, so talk about the specifics. If you're talking about the specifics, if you're teaching them about the specifics, it's just not showing them the goal, it is showing them how to achieve the goal. So that's what it talks about. Yeah. So create emotional buy-in. When I'm saying to create an emotional buy-in, make them feel the impact of their actions. How impactful if they would have asked this question. How it would have impacted the customer's emotions. Run them in the future. And when you do that, they would definitely take that action on that specific meeting or on that specific call. So for an example, show them how their improvement leads to more sales and promotions or recognitions for the matter. You'll have to see what is the motivator, alright, and how taking the right action or how implementing it would help them and result them and what is in for them in it, right? So that's the point. And also reinforce through action. Give people chance to practice immediately after a feedback, like going on a mock session, doing a mock session with them, or you can do a peer-to-peer coaching with them, or you can do a role play with them. By doing that, it will help them retain better. And lastly, it is about keeping it short, frequent, and relevant. So anything which is large and long, people are going to forget about it. So keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it frequent. How frequently it is required, keep it frequently, and keep it very relevant to the situation accordingly. So the brain absorbs bit-sized, repetitive and contextual feedback far better than the bigger ones. So it is important to keep it precise, and it is important to keep it relevant all the time. So if you're frustrated that your team isn't retaining feedback, stop blaming them, change your approach, train for knowledge, but coach them for execution. Because at the end of the day, information isn't power. Applying information is the power. All right. So if this hits you right, that is going to help you in your closing, and that's going to help you in building a good sales team, and that will definitely help you in improving your performance. So if you really like this video, and if you feel you've got something to take back from this video, I would want you to write down below in the comment how you felt about this. And if you feel any other technique apart from what we've been discussing would help retain more information or help people remember what they've been taught, you can also comment that below. And also, thank you so much for the support you've been showing throughout these weeks. As I've been posting every week, I'm receiving a lot of likes and views. Thank you so much for that. Continue to support so. And as I said, like, share and subscribe. That will motivate me to do more videos. And looking forward for an interesting topic to be discussed in the next week. Until then, Stalin signing off. Thank you.